Okay, so if you are looking to schedule a Class Connect session, there are a couple of different ways that you can do it and ways that you can get there. So if you're in this screen right here, this is the OMHS. This is the Online Middle and High School. So if your screen looks like this, it means you've been added to middle school or high school classes. To schedule a class, we're going to go to My Schedule, and we're going to click Schedule New. We can schedule new right here. If your screen did not look like that, if it looked different, if it looked like this and it has this purple and green scheme, this is the general OLS or the LMS for elementary school, or if you are not added to a middle or high school class or logged in as an admin, you will see this view. To schedule a class, you go to Class Connect Sessions on the right here and click on that. When I get to this screen, I click Create New Session. And then you can see, once you go to create new session, it looks the same whether you are in this view or you started out initially in that OMHS, Online Middle and High School. To get started, we're going to go ahead and select our type of room. I always do small group. Most people do because then you can individually invite students, and you can make some optional and some required, and you can pick out them by name. Makes it a little bit easier to do. Once you do that, you do need to make sure you scroll down, and there is a continue button down at the bottom here. I'll move this for a moment so that you can see it. So make sure that you press the continue button to go on to the next screen. On this screen, the platform is Newrow. That cannot be changed. The session name, this is where you will name your session. For right now, I'm just going to make a practice room in Newrow just to give us an example. The general sessions or targeted sessions are most of the time determined by what type of session you're doing. So if you are doing a targeted session where you're inviting specific students based on their MTSS level or things like that, or if you are holding a targeted class, then you would select targeted. The subject is going to determine the courses. So as you can see, if I select math here, then all of these courses will be math courses. If I select something else, and then all of those courses will match. You can go ahead down to other if you need to. I'm going to do other right now for this because this practice room is just a room to practice in Newrow. So I'm going to put none for the course and none for the program. Then I click continue. My start date can be any time from when I am scheduling it and then on from there. So if I wanted to schedule a session for tomorrow morning, I would click tomorrow morning's date, and then I could schedule the session for whatever time. This is where you select the time. Just watch your AMs and PMs. The duration is here, so if you have a 45-minute class or something like that, then you would go ahead and click 45 minutes. If you have 30 minutes, you'd select 30 and so on. The repeat session is for if you are having repeating sessions. If you meet this group every week at the same time, you can do that. You just select weekly, and then you only need to schedule it once. You can schedule whatever days of the week it's held. You can end it after a certain number of occurrences, or you can just go ahead and end it at the end of the school year to make it easier. So if you are having a regularly scheduled meeting, then it is really important to schedule it from now until the end of the year on whatever day or days it falls. The reason for that is when you create a new class session in Class Connect, it will create a new folder in Newrow. So if you want to be able to easily find all of your materials for, say you're teaching an Algebra 1 class, then you only want to have one Algebra 1 folder. If you have more than one class, then obviously you have more than one folder, but you don't want to have 50 different Algebra 1 folders. That could make it very confusing if you're trying to go back and find previous files and things that you had there. So my Newrow practice room, I don't want to have it repeat. So I'll click Never Repeats for right now. But if you are having a regularly scheduled class, you will want to have it repeat so that it would create only one folder. Once you create that, you can still go in and change out students. You can take out students, you can add new students, and things like that. It's just the actual session that stays the same. So let's go ahead and schedule this. When I get to this screen, this is where I'm going to select the role of student. I can then filter by different things. So I can filter by grades. I can filter by my classrooms. If I've been added to the classrooms, then I will see the classrooms that I've been added to. So I can select from any of these. So say I wanted to have a class for this group of science students, I click search and all of their names will come up. And I can go ahead and search their names. I can click required and make them all required. I could click optional, make them all optional. It will give me a message asking if I want to do that. So I made them all optional. I can then remove them all. So I can go ahead and select students individually. I hold down the control button and click to add students individually, and I can make those students required by just simply clicking the required button, or I can make them optional doing the same thing. I'm not going to add any students to my class right now, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those so it doesn't show up on their schedule. But once we schedule this session, if I had added any students, it would show up on their schedule tab. This is where I double check and make sure that I've scheduled everything correctly. So did I name it correctly? Did I misspell anything? If I did, I can click on session details and go back and fix it. Did I select the right subject and course? Did I select the right day and time, length of session? Did I need it to repeat? Double check that. And then if you had added participants, then you would double check those and make sure that you added the participants correctly and the ones that you wanted to. Once you're done with that, instead of continue, it now says schedule session. I'm going to go ahead and click schedule session. Now, if I go back to my session list, so let me go back to this and refresh the page, you can now see that I have this on my schedule right now. If you were in the other setup, you would also be able to, if you were in this version, and you also came from that, remember that elementary view or the admin view of the LMS, you could also see it there. So if you had scheduled it here, you would also be able to check it here as well. Sometimes you can go from back one day and then go forward and then you see it appears. So if it doesn't appear right away, it's okay. Now, when we want to go to class, in this version, I just click on the words right here. If I wanted to edit it, I could edit it and add students and change the students that were added over here as well. I could also delete. If I click delete, it will ask me if I want to delete just this occurrence or all future occurrences as well. So that's a good thing to know for when there are days off of school. Again, if you wanted to get to it from here, you can click here, or you can just click on the name of the session right here. Once I click on it, it will bring me to my Newrow room. And then you can go ahead and you would turn on or have it authenticate your camera, your built-in camera, and also your microphone. Because I'm using the Screencast-O-Matic right now, it does have an integrated camera, so it's not using that right now. But on yours, it will bring it up. Just make sure your cover is open, and it will automatically detect your audio. You can see it's detecting my audio right now. You can confirm on those devices and start your class. Don't forget that if you wanted to, it will prompt you to record. However, it will sometimes take a little while, so it depends how early you got into class. Remember, if you want to record, you can always go into your tools button and click recording. So I can record until I stop. I can record for a set amount of time, depending on when I'm opening that. So if I wanted to record this class right now, again, I'd go to Tools, and I could click Recording. Say I want to record until manually stop. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. It will take just a moment in order to start that recording. Remember, there are lots of videos on Newrow, on the Newrow page of the website if you need them, but in here are all your tools and settings. This is another place where you can go to change the default camera and microphone, to change the room lock and room mode. So right now it's set for it to automatically lock the room when I start the session. So that's something you want to keep in mind too. If you wanted to change that, you can certainly do that. And you can also do large room. You can set it to webinar mode here. And if you do that, then students would not be able to enable their webcams and microphones. So if you had a very large room, a very large group that you were doing for some reason, then you could do that as a webinar mode. And you can also schedule for extra large events, but these take a little while to go through. So remember that this would have to be scheduled in advance if you were doing an extra large event. All right, so the recording has started. Participants would confirm that they know that they are being recorded and so on. So once this is being done, you can go ahead and finish or stop your recording by clicking on the recording button, and I can click stop recording.